If you do not have clear, specific goals for your life, you are doomed forever to work for people who do.
People say, well, geez, I wish my life was better. Show me your written goals. Well, you don't have any written goals. Then don't tell me you wish your life was better, because you're lying to me and you're lying to yourself, because you really don't want to improve your life if you've been told 1,000 times you've got to have written goals and you don't have any. Just go away. I don't mean to be harsh, but I'm trying to drive a point home. There are 4 major obstacles to goal setting. Because everybody's heard about goal setting all their lives, why is it that everybody doesn't have goals? Here they are. A is the fear of rejection, of criticism. People are afraid to set goals because when they set goals as children, people rained on their parade, insulted them, made fun of them, and made them feel bad when they didn't accomplish them. So here's the key to goal setting. Don't tell anybody. When you set goals, don't tell anybody. The only people you discuss your goals with are the people who also have goals, who will encourage you with your goals and will tell you that your goals are attainable and tell you that you can do it and encourage you to believe it. Now, the second reason that people don't set goals is people don't know how. Remember I said the greatest danger that you can have is to think you know how when you don't know how at all? People think, well, you just write down a list of what you want to do. Well, that's helpful, but it's not enough. The third reason, C, is that people don't realize the importance of goals. If you've been brought up in a family where goals were not constantly emphasized, if you associate with people who don't talk about and work on goals all the time, you can actually drift along, not even aware that goals are central to success in life. D is fear of failure. Fear of failure is the number one reason for failure in adult life, is we don't like to feel that we failed. We don't like to feel low self-esteem. So we very carefully protect ourselves from these feelings of low self-esteem. And how do we do that? We don't set any goals at all. We sabotage ourselves unconsciously by not setting goals for ourselves so we can't fail. But of course, if you don't set goals for yourself, you can't succeed either. Okay, so the ability to set goals and to make plans for their accomplishment is the master skill of success. It's the master skill. It's the core skill that if you master this skill, your life will be tremendous. And if you master all other skills but this, your life will be diminished to that degree. It's like you learn to do everything in the world but never learn to use a telephone. Doesn't mean that you can't function. It just means that your life will be diminished dramatically compared to what it could be. Now, desire, and this is where we start. Desire is the first of the 12 points. Desire is the only real limit to your abilities. The only question you ever have to ask is, how badly do you want it? If you want it badly enough, the key word for success is hungry. How hungry are you? You've heard the famous story of Socrates, when Socrates was the leading philosopher of Athens, and people would come to him to study philosophy. And one day a young man came up and said, I want to be a philosopher. What do I have to do to be a philosopher? Please tell me. He said, you sure you want to be a philosopher? It takes many years of thinking and so on. Doesn't pay well. He said, well, yes, I know I want to be a philosopher. Well, how badly? I really badly. Really? He said. And he took him, he said, come with me. I want to show you something. And they were walking by a lake. Took them by the arm and they walked into the lake. Just sort of strolled into the lake. You sure you want to be a philosopher? Yes, I do. They're walking into this lake and the water is getting deeper and deeper. When it got to about this height, Socrates then suddenly took him and plunged his head under the water and held it down. And the young man thought, well, this was just something that they did, so he didn't struggle or anything. And then Socrates held him down there. The young man realized he wasn't about to let him up, and he started to panic. He started to kick, and he started to become absolutely terrified. And finally, at the last moment, Socrates pulled him up above the water. And he said, what were you thinking about just now? He said, oxygen. All I was thinking about was breathing. He said, when you want philosophy as much as you wanted oxygen, then you will be a philosopher and not until. When you want your goals so badly, that's all you think about. You think about only that goal. You think about achieving only that goal. When you want it that badly, you will achieve it. There's nothing that will stop you. Desire is the factor. What do you want? And here are the 2 keys with regard to desire. A, it must be personal. You can't say, I want someone to love me. People come up to me and say, well, how do I get this person to love me and want to marry me? I said, you cannot set a goal for another person. You want to be in a perfect relationship. So what you do is you describe your perfect relationship. Any of you who are single, by the way, The way to finding the perfect relationship is very simple, is you sit down and you make a list of the perfect person, as though you were going to hire someone to run your company. And you make a list of the perfect person and you describe them in detail. Height, weight, size, education, experience, personality, background, temperament, interest, enthusiasm, leisure time, activities, everything. Just write down everything that you want in the perfect person. I have given this exercise to countless people when they were single, and they've been astonished at how fast they met the perfect person. Sometimes they found the perfect person was a coworker. Sometimes they found it was someone that they'd known for a long time. But the very act of crystallizing it by writing it down, by deciding what you want, not what anybody else wants, not what you should want, not what your parents think is good for you, but what you really want, and writing it down, activates this force field of attraction and starts to draw that person into your life. Same with business relationships. And B, they must be burning, intense, passionate. A major definite purpose is something that you do not have to make yourself work on. You can hardly wait to work on it. In fact, when you are working on your major definite purpose, there's a measure. And you know what it is? You become very impatient with the physical need of having to sleep. It makes you impatient. So you're always structuring your time so that you are sleeping the amount that you need, but only that, because you want to get up and get going. You find that your friendships change. You find that friendships that you have will diminish and die away because they are useless wastes of your time. The people are shallow. They don't read. They have nothing to say. They have the same things to say every time you meet them, the same problems, the same crummy lives. You know, they complain all the time, and you find that you no longer have time for these people. When you start to get excited about something that you are excited about, burning desire, something that you're in love with, you find that all of your other tastes and appetites change as well.
The next stage, number 2,
is belief. It's so important. Belief means that you need to develop an absolute conviction that your goal is possible.
See, if you have a belief that you don't deserve success, or if you have a belief, am I smart enough? Am I good enough? Do I deserve success? Do I really know what to do? Can I really do this? What if I fail? What if I try my hardest and I fail? Then you're going to have opposing goals and opposing beliefs. So let's say, for all of you people who like the law of attraction, let's say you have a goal of making $100,000. If your goal is to make $100,000, but your belief is that you only deserve to make $50,000, you're going to be out of sync or out of vibration. So if your goal is $100,000 and that's an X-type vibration, and your belief is a $50,000 belief and that's a Y-type vibration, you're going to be out of vibration. Or you're going to have what's known as a chaotic vibration. And they'll basically cancel each other out. Or you'll do a little bit of hard work and then you'll sabotage your success. Or you'll think you can achieve it for a day or two, but then things will happen where it doesn't work as smoothly as you like, and you'll give up hope.
So belief is absolutely important. The rule about beliefs is your beliefs become your realities. As William James of Harvard said, belief creates the actual fact. If you absolutely believe it, you will walk, talk, think, feel, behave, and get results consistent with your beliefs. And how can you tell what your innermost beliefs and convictions are? By what you say or wish or hope or intend, or by what you do. What you do is the only measure. But there is a principle of reversibility, remember. If you act exactly as you would act, if you're absolutely convinced that something was possible for you, the action itself creates the conviction. It's a principle of reversibility. In other words, if you feel confident, you act confident. But if you don't feel confident, act confident, and it will cause you to feel confident. This is, again, one of the great breakthroughs in human thought, is that we act our way into feeling by doing the things consistent with the feelings and beliefs that we would like to have.
Now, number 3
Write it down. This is the turning point, by the way.
is when you write your goals down clearly, they take on a power of their own in your mind. You pull them out of the air where they have no substance at all, and you write them down on paper, and now you have something you can touch. Your goals must be in writing. Many people say, oh, I know exactly what I want. And I've met and worked with these people over the years, and you know something? They're almost all failures. They say, oh, I know what I want. I don't have to write it down. Yes, you do, because until you start writing, we find that there's an incredible connection between the head and the hand. And when you start to write goals, you'll be absolutely astonished what comes out on the paper. And when you write a goal down, you engage in what is called a psychoneuromotor activity. You activate your visual powers, your audio powers, and your kinesthetic powers. And whatever you write down, you actually program straight into your subconscious mind, where it starts to work 24 hours a day. Great stuff, let me tell you.
Only 3% of Americans have written goals. And you know something? Everybody works for them. Everybody works for people who have written goals. People say, well, geez, I wish my life was better. Show me your written goals. Well, you don't have any written goals. Then don't tell me you wish your life was better, because you're lying to me and you're lying to yourself, because you really don't want to improve your life if you've been told 1,000 times you've got to have written goals and you don't have any. People who are living their lives without goals are shooting themselves off at life and certainly hoping something good runs into it. So make it clear, make it specific, make it objective, and make it measurable. You can't hit a target you can't see. You can't achieve a goal that's not measurable and attainable.
Now the fourth key
is determine all the reasons why you want the goal. Remember what Friedrich Nietzsche, the German philosopher, said, a man can bear any what if he has a big enough why. If you want it badly enough, you can overcome anything. And that's the real test. You see, the test of working toward a goal is not when things are going along just sweet and hunky-dory. The test of a goal is when everything goes to hell in a handbasket. When the world falls apart, when you hit the inevitable crisis after crisis after crisis, and everything that you expected takes 2 or 3 times longer, costs 2 or 3 times as much, and you are assaulted on all sides, and everybody you depended upon lets you down, and you're there trying to drain the swamp, but you find yourself up to your you-know-what in alligators, and that's when you have the testing time. This is the testing time. This is nature's way of saying, okay, big guy, how serious are you?
Work on your list of whys. One of the big thrusts for success is to come up with a strong enough why. In leadership training, here's what we learn. If the why is powerful, the how is easy. I'm asking you to go home and work on the why. And you're the only one personally that can answer that question for yourself. You've got to have your own list of whys.
Reasons are the fuel in the furnace of achievement. The more reasons you have, if you say, I want to be successful so I can, pay off my credit cards and get a better car and, get some new clothes and go out for dinner, well, those are little reasons. Those are picky reasons. But if you want to be successful because you have 10 or 15 or 20 or 50 or 100 or 300 things you want to do with your success, you will be like a force of nature. You will be irresistible. You will be like a flash flood. You will wash everything in front of you if you have lots of reasons.
Now the fifth key
is analyze your starting position. Where are you starting from? Take stock of your current situation and be honest.
I still remember this one woman came up to me in a seminar, very, very arrogant. I decided to be a billionaire in 1 year. And I said, well, that's a pretty big goal. She said, well, you said you can have any goal you want. I said, yes, but it has to be realistic. And, well, what do you mean? It has to be an achievable goal. I said, well, what are you working at right now? She said, well, I just got fired for incompetence. I said, how much money are you worth? She said, well, I'm broke. I had to borrow money to come to this seminar. I said, and you expect to go from zero, broke, incompetent, to $1 billion in a year? You can't go from broke to buckets of money. You have to demonstrate that you can be master over small amounts of money, that you can take the money and that you can hold on to it and that you can save it and that you can invest it and that you can deploy it. If you do that with small amounts of money, you'll get bigger amounts. By a law of attraction, you'll attract more money that you'll be able to carefully invest and deploy and put away. And as you do that, you'll attract more money and you'll earn more money. In other words, you have to walk before you run.
Remember the reality principle. What's the reality? What is the reality? If you want to lose weight, what do? You get on the scales and you weigh yourself and you honestly admit, this is where I am. If you want to be fit, you go down and you take a fitness test. If you want to become financially independent, you do an analysis of what you're truly worth. And you don't give yourself bonus points for your scrapbooks from high school. This is worth at least $10,000 because I love it, you know.
Number 6, set a deadline. Now, your subconscious mind uses deadlines as forcing systems. They drive you consciously and unconsciously toward achieving your goal on schedule. 𝙃𝙖𝙫𝙬 once said that your subconscious can work against you because when you set a big goal, you're disrupting your subconscious. So your subconscious mind will tell you that it's not possible and will attempt to sabotage you. And you know the way your subconscious mind sabotages you? It tells you, you can't achieve this goal. You don't need to write it down. It's okay as long as you know what it is. If your goal is big enough, set sub-deadlines. If you want to achieve financial independence, you may set a 10 or 20-year goal and then break it down year by year so that you know how much you have to save and invest each year.
So a person says, well, what if you set a goal and you don't achieve your goal by the deadline? It's just a guesstimate that enables you to focus. You say, we'll be at your house at 8 o'clock. That's your focus. You may get there at 5:02 or 5 after, but you've got a deadline. You've got to focus. We cannot live without deadlines.
If for some reason you don't achieve your goal by the deadline, simply set a new deadline. There are no unreasonable goals, only unreasonable deadlines. Number 7
is identify the obstacles you will have to overcome. Now this is very important because with regard to obstacles, there's always something that stands between you and your goal. The rule is if there are no obstacles, it is not a goal, it's merely an activity. You know, lunch. What are the obstacles between here and lunch? There are no obstacles. We go for lunch at 12:15. That's an activity. So therefore, if there are no obstacles, there are no goals.
Now, there's a very powerful principle called the principle of constraints. This principle of constraints is, I think, revolutionary. And what it says is that there's always one limiting factor or constraint or bottleneck between you and your goal that sets the speed at which you achieve your goal. So the question is, once you're clear about your goal, and let's say it's a financial goal, is what is the bottleneck that holds you back? For example, I will say to a company, what is your goal? Well, it's to grow in sales and profitability. What's the constraint? More sales. If you had more sales, would you achieve the goal? Yes. So what is the constraint behind that? Better trained salespeople. Maybe it's better products and services. Maybe it's better pricing. Maybe it's new markets. But keep asking, what's holding you back? What sets the speed? Now, the 80-20 rule applies to constraints. Fully 80% of the reasons that are holding you back from achieving your goal are inside yourself. They're not on the outside. Average people always blame their problems on external circumstances. Top people look inside themselves. The things that are holding you back are usually the lack of a skill, the lack of a quality like self-discipline, or the lack of a particular knowledge or skill, all of which you can learn or acquire. Only 20% of the reasons you are not achieving your goals are on the outside, so always start with yourself. Number 8 is to
identify the additional knowledge and skills that you'll need to achieve your goals. You know, of course, that whatever your level of knowledge and skills is today, it's rapidly becoming obsolete and it has to be replaced and upgraded quickly.
Remember, to achieve a goal that you've never achieved before, you will have to develop skills that you've never had before. You'll have to do things that you've never done before. So what are they? And here's the great breakthrough thought that changed my life at the age of 23, is that all business skills are learnable. Especially, here's the question. Ask yourself, what one skill, if I was absolutely excellent at it, would help me the most to achieve my goal? What one skill? And this is one of the greatest questions of all. This is the life changer for me. What one skill? What one skill? And if you can imagine you could take a magic pill or wave a magic wand or buy a hypnotic program and play it all night, and the next morning you'd wake up and you'd be absolutely excellent at any one skill. What one skill would have the greatest positive impact on your life? What one skill would help you the most to achieve your most important goals?
And you know, the great thing about this question is you know the answer. You know what it is. You say, woohoo, if I was good at that, I'd save myself years of hard work. People say, geez, it'd take me a week, a month, a year, 2 years to learn that skill. I know what it is, but so what? So what? I'm sorry, did anybody give you a guarantee, a little warranty certificate when you came out of the womb and saying, here's your warranty, guarantee, life is going to be easy for you. There's going to be flowers all along the way. No. Life has always been hard. Life will always be hard. You can make it easier, but life will never be easy. It'll always be hard. So don't expect things to be easy. Only no-hopers and thumbsuckers and people with no future expect things to be easy. If you expect things to be easy, you look for things to be easy. If you look for things to be easy, you'll never realize that to accomplish great things, you have to work hard. Number 9, make a plan. Make a plan.
And plans are very simple because what you do is you just make a list. You start off with a list of everything you'll have to do. You already identified it. You know what the goal is. You've broken the goal down into sub-deadlines. You've identified the knowledge you'll require, the obstacles you'll have to overcome, the people whose cooperation you'll require. Make a list of everything you'll have to do and then organize the list, first of all, by sequence, which means what comes first. What do you have to do before you do something else? And then second of all, by priority, which is what is more important and what is less important. And once you have a list organized by sequence and priority, you have a plan. Now you have the 2 great requirements for winning. You have a goal and a plan. Now, does it take a little while to do this? Yes. But once you have the goal and the plan, the very act of completing them programs them into your subconscious mind. We, in our advanced coaching programs, we teach people to write down and create goals and plans. And then once they've done it all, 90 days later they come back. I say, how many of you reviewed your goals and plans in the last 90 days? Most of them didn't do it. How many of you achieved your goals and plans? All of them. But the most amazing darn thing, because by writing them out, they've programmed them into their subconscious mind, which passes it off like a baton to the superconscious, which then works 24 hours a day to bring it into their lives. And the most remarkable coincidences occur. That's why people with goals and plans, according to the best research, accomplish 10 times as much as people without goals and plans. 1,000% more than people without. So write down what you want and make it clear so that the universe can help you get it. Number 10.
Visualize. This is the most powerful faculty you have, is the ability to imagine your goal as already created. See your goal as a reality every day.
Emmett Fox, who I mentioned before, wrote a book many years ago called The Mental Equivalent. Actually, it wasn't even a book, it was a pamphlet. And this little pamphlet is one of the most profound pieces of writing in history. It's just unbelievable. I'd read Emmett Fox for years, and someone came up to me and said, have you ever read The Mental Equivalent? I said, no, I've read all of his books. Well, it's not that easy to get, so I got it. And what it does is basically says is you have one responsibility to your universe, is to create within your mind the mental equivalent of what you would like to see on the outside. If you will do that, all the mental laws that we've talked about and many more that we haven't had a chance to go into will all work. Just like click, 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 they'll all work, and what you want will appear on the outside by the law of cause and effect, belief, expectation, attraction, correspondence, and so on. Your job is to give to the universe an absolutely crystal clear picture of the goal that you want, which you can only get by thinking it through and writing it down.
Number 11
is back your goals and plans with persistence and determination. This is so important. 95% of the goals that you will set for yourself in life, according to the research, you will attain, as long as you persist. As long as you become unstoppable. Because if you don't stop, you must attain your goals. The primary reason why people don't attain their goals is, first of all, they don't have them, and second of all, they stop. Your persistence is your measure of your belief in yourself. And here's the most important point, is that every time you persist, your belief intensifies. When your belief intensifies, your desire intensifies. When your desire intensifies, your motivation intensifies, which makes you even more driven to persist in the attainment of your goals, which increases your self-esteem and your self-belief and your motivation and your desire, which causes you to persist even more. So your persistence is your measure of how much you believe it's possible. Every act of persistence strengthens you and increases your ability to persist even more. Everything you do builds habits of success that lock in deeper and deeper, and which ultimately guarantee your success. Remember, finally, there are no real limits on what you can accomplish except for the limits that you place on yourself.